Okay. It's time to call the Committee on Government Operations to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Kniezek. Commissioner Clark-Coleman. Commissioner Basham. Commissioner Killeen. Chair Dobb.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
B, Jerome's remarks.
I have none. Next item.
C, approve the March 8th, 2023 meeting minutes.
It's been moved by Commissioner Killeen, seconded by Commissioner Basham. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carried.
All right, next item.
B, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Your next item.
Moving to item 8, first on the agenda. Requesting commission approval of Amendment 2 to a 3-year contract with 1 2-year option to renew with the Siegel Company, DBA Siegel Consulting.
Okay, we have someone here for this item. 8. We're going to be going all out of order today, just so everyone knows. Hello, please state your name and title for the record, and just make sure the microphone's on. You might need to tap it. There you go. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Livia Calderoni, I'm the interim division director for Benefits and Disability Administration Division.
Okay, can you just speak a little bit to this item?
Yes, we're seeking an extension to the contract for Siegel Consulting. It's been our consultant for the last 5 years. We are in the bid process. It's actually been completed and the bids are all in. We're just finalizing that. We'd like to keep them on until September, just to make sure that there's no major gaps. Their contract did end on March 21st. We haven't used their services and we won't until this contract extension is approved.
And when you say the bids are in, is that the bids for the benefits?
Consulting services, the same services they are currently providing. So
Okay.
this went out, the RFP was out and it took a little longer than expected. So we're kind of in limbo right now without a consultant.
For a new consulting
Yes.
firm? Okay, I
Yes.
understand. Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any questions or discussion on item number 8? All right, hearing none. Thank you very much for joining us. All right, we're gonna go, should we vote on this one? Okay, let's vote on this item. Can I get a motion? And support.
Ready for a vote.
It's just not up on our screen yet. Been moved by Commissioner Clark-Coleman, supported by Commissioner Basham. Any further questions? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carried.
Next item, please.
Moving back to item 1 under new business. Discussion by the Departments of Management and Budget and Information Technology on the ERP project.
So this is very exciting to us. We're moving to a new enterprise resource planning program, and we just want to get sort of an update as to where we are. So please state your name and title for the record. It's on.
Through the chair, Aaron Wagner, Deputy Chief Financial Officer.
Jessica Knudsen, Executive Program Director for Management and Budget.
Please proceed.
Thank you, everyone. I want to give an update on the Connect 43 project. to the Government Operations Committee. Thank you for your time today. The Connect 43 project was previously known, maybe to many of you, the ERP project. And ERP is a standard industry term for enterprise resource planning, and that is comprised of a couple of pieces. One is the human capital management. You'll hear it referred to as HCM. That is your recruit to developing to retiring, the whole entire employee life cycle. The second piece of it is the financial management. You'll also hear that specifically referred to as ERP, so it gets a little bit confusing. That is your financials, your cash management, your payables, your purchase order, billing, receivables, assets, grants, and projects. The other piece is the supply chain piece, and that's the supplier management, your sourcing, contracts, procure to pay, inventory, and then the order management as a part of the inventory process. The last piece is EPM. This is our budget planning, our financial analysis, and our financial reporting tool. So Connect 43.
Can I just interrupt you real quick? Commissioners, I can't see the screen, so if you press request to speak, just raise your hand instead if you have a question. Thank you. Please proceed.
For sure. So the term Connect 43, some people have actually asked us, is that 43 systems that we're connecting together? And whereas, you know, there are a lot of disparate systems that we're using, and then also there are legacy systems, we're actually unifying those systems, but really the Connect 43 is unifying those systems for our 43 great communities to provide really great best-in-class services to them. We also want to empower our employees to, you know, really drive, you know, their own career goals, develop at the county, maybe transfer into different areas, be promoted, you know, really feel a part of that. And the tools will empower employees to kind of take that into their own sphere of influence. Also, we want to be able to service our employees, our citizens, each other. So unifying these systems together will help us stay on the same page and do the business of the county at the highest level. So as many of you know, this project you know, started a few years ago, and the question might be asked, why are we going to be successful in Connect 43? And what we've done is we've revamped and refueled our change management process. This is not just a implementation, it's a transformation, it's a modernization. So we're putting a huge emphasis on change management. We've also invested in staff augmentation so that subject matter experts have the time and the focus that is needed in order to develop this best-in-class system. We've also partnered with Oracle Consulting, and we're moving to an Oracle suite of products. And we feel like Oracle Consulting is certainly the best and closest to the best experts in the software to partner with to be successful. And then last but absolutely certainly not least, the support of all of our SMEs, all of our executives, this committee, and the commission. We couldn't do it without you guys. So on the next slide, these are our leaders. There's many here today. Erin is standing next to me. Also, Donna Wilson is here as well. You just heard from Livia. I believe Hector's in the room. Greg Abbas is in the room, and you can see the many other leaders. We've got a great team of people on the project. Next slide. And I think this sort of transition, so we'll go one at a time. So I mentioned human capital management. Human capital management is our first wave. You will see, I kind of go to the money shot here, which is January 1st of 2024. So we'll be transitioning to from PeopleSoft to Oracle on the first of the year. And you can see working backwards from that, prior to go live, we'll be doing a train the trainer effort in end user training. Right now here at the beginning of April, we're completing our design, the deeper dives that we need to go into, but we've also started our prototype 2 sessions. So I'm going to give you a little, some tidbits of where we are specifically with that in just a second. But if you click, it should show you wave 2 timeline. And so you can see that in the late summer, early fall, we'll be mobilizing the core financials, projects, grants, procure to pay, and inventory. So that's our ERP, or enterprise resource planning. That is set to go live at the beginning of a fiscal year, and that will be October 1 of 2024. And then last but certainly not least, the EPM. So that's our planning, budget, and reporting. That will overlap with the financials project, and that go live is aligned with the fiscal year as well, October 1 of 2024. Next slide. So the next slide, I won't go in detail unless anybody has specific questions, but I just wanted to give you a reference of where we are today, specific to HCM and all of the various activities that are going on in April, May, and June timeframe. So as I mentioned, we're doing our prototype 2, and we will get into our system integration testing, all of the integrations, reports, and so forth in preparation for August, September, October, which will be our parallel payroll tests. And in those tests, we'll progressively test our payrolls to 80%, 90%, 100% to make sure that we're paying our people correctly prior to go live. There will be entrance and exit criteria to all of these different steps. So we'll be constantly keeping ourselves honest and on the same page to make sure that we're collectively moving forward together and we can successfully go live as planned. Next slide. Also important, the project financials. And I'll let people look at this into their level of interest. Just a few things. This program is comprised of multiple contract vehicles. You can see to the left-hand side, the actuals from fiscal years 18 through 22, and then fiscal year 23 actuals. And then I've also included the forecast for fiscal year 23, 24, 25 for the various contracts. A couple of other notes, you can see at the bottom, there's a total actual spend to date. I've also outlined what this last contract, the WCHO, which is the overhead portion of the budget. Next slide. So change management. I wanted to bring our special guest here, our change management person, to talk about change management. It's really important that with this transformation, modernization, that we refuel and revamp our change management.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janine McNally, and I am the change management lead for the Connect 43 project. So we're really working to engage all of our stakeholder groups, and that goes from everyone at the top of the organization to all employees. In fact, we just left DPS, the central maintenance yard, where we did a couple trainings this morning to tell them all about the project, as well as provide manager training. So anyone who is a manager, manages people, giving them communication tools to talk through this, especially because any kind of change, and we're calling this one a transformation, is a very big change and people get nervous, they're excited, they have all emotions across the board. And so we are equipping them with tools to help them as managers as well as helping them support their people. So, and other events include all kinds of communications, town halls. We have a change ambassador network that will encompass every department or office within the county to make sure there's representation and people who are being communicated to and can communicate and cascade those communications. And we're also doing several on-site visits, including sheriff coming up. We're meeting with probate court and jails. So it's just, we're really covering all of the bases to make sure that we're communicating with people.
You met with the commission.
I have not personally met with the commission.
Is that on the schedule?
I can certainly do that at any point. I'm happy to. I feel I've given everyone in Wayne County my phone number and I have a Wayne County email address. And so I'm happy to be here to present at any time.
Okay, yes. Please don't forget about us. I
Yes.
noticed on the slide with the leaders, I don't think anyone from the Wayne County Commission was listed. So please add us.
Okay, we will do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair, in the steering committee, there is representation from commission staff as part of that. The stakeholders that were listed as far as the leaders in the earlier slide, those are wholly executive side on that piece as the key stakeholders from the contract side.
Next slide. So another thing that I had mentioned that is key to the success of the project is the staff augmentation. And on this slide, I've outlined the purposes of the staff augmentation to identify and screen the best candidates, performing the interviews, and helping facilitate the Wayne County hiring manager side interviews, and assisting with the selection and onboarding of those candidates. In progress so far, we have 28 requisitions that were sent for recruitment. 20 positions have been filled and 8 are in the process of being vetted, interviewed, or onboarded. Next slide. So just a few milestones and some upcoming events. So right now, I mentioned that we're completing a few additional deep dives in the recruit to retire business processes within human resources. We've just kicked off our prototype 2 session, and that prototype 2 actually has Wayne County data conversion from PeopleSoft. And we were able for this prototype to convert 100% of our business structure, our human resources business structure. We were able to convert approximately 90% of worker records. And I want to point out that typically in a prototype 2, you'll get a 50 to 60% rate. So I think the design sessions and the deep dives that we completed really paid off in getting a very holistic population to 90% of our current employees to test in prototype 2. We're currently also converting, as we speak, the benefits data, the absence data, and then the payroll history data as well for that testing. So in April, we're going to continue our prototype 2 sessions. Those will actually go into May. Janine mentioned that we were at DPS actually today, and there's going to be people manager training coming up The next Change Ambassador session, I believe, is April 18th. There are so many events and so many activities. I have included the Connect 43 in Me SharePoint, and we can certainly make sure that, you know, that gets sent out and we can notate that actual link to that site. And just the next slide, if you will. Janine, can you come back up and talk about we did a survey, a baseline survey as part of change management. We wanted to get an idea as a baseline who knew about the Connect 43 project and this modernization transformation effort.
Yes, so the baseline survey was conducted in February. It's a tough one because it's a baseline and people really don't have any clue what's going on, but it gives us just that, something to work from. So we have the next survey that will be administered on June 5th through the 16th. It's a 2-week window. And what we can now see in June is we really had an excellent turnout. First of all, we communicated this out. We met with IT directors, especially with sheriff and DPS, just because of the size and the number of employees in those areas. And we had a 32% response rate, which is fantastic. And we just hope to increase that with more communication. Really, at this point, the idea is, are you aware or not aware? As we go through this year, as you looked at that timeline, go live is January 1st. We're going to be doing that June survey, which we will be looking for more awareness and understanding for sure. Then we'll have another one in October before the go live, before people get trained. So a couple other things that we were looking at in the baseline was how many people were using technology and how they were using the technology, whether they actually did the survey on their computer, their phone, or a tablet. And we also know that there are many in the county who don't have access to technology, in which right now I'm writing the training plan. So we are talking with DeWitt and Hector and Greg Abbas to really come up with solutions to help those people get to where they need to be, to not only take the next survey, but to conduct training. So that's where we are with the survey. And it's just another form. Even if people don't know anything, it's a touch point. Like, oh, what is this Connect 43? It's just another way to start getting the word out. Thank you.
And I believe that was the last slide. And I'm happy to take any questions.
I have a question, not to give any spoilers for later in the agenda, but we are looking at a contract for a new website. Is there anything that this project will integrate in with the possibility of a new county website? Is there any integration with that? Maybe that's a Hector question. Maybe I should wait for that item to come up.
Sure. Through the chair, Hector Roman, Director of Information Technology. No, there will be no integration between the public website and our Connect 43 project.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I think that was all the questions I had for this. Commissioner Basham.
Not a time to cough. Let's talk about technology. We're an international community, and I represent downriver. And a lot of times people's phones don't work. Their Wi-Fi don't work. When they get down places in Brownstown, Gibraltar, and even further north. And when it comes to technology, and this is not a new issue, but if there's anything that anybody can do to try to have a very serious conversation with Comcast, AT&T, and those others, it would certainly be appreciated downriver. As a matter of fact, some people We'll talk to some people if they do get a signal downriver and they get a bill from Canada and they complain about the bill from Canada. It's not unusual. So I would just ask you, if you want to talk about technology, please come downriver and Brownstown south of Gibraltar or Gibraltar and try to make a phone call. Thank you.
Is there any response to that?
Through the chair, as it relates to this, this particular program, you know, it's in internal county employee facing. You know, I've taken notes and, you know, we can definitely work with the administration to see, have conversations with Comcast and AT&T.
Are you aware of any issues that we have with county devices and being, you know, in those areas that Commissioner Basham mentioned, or even here, I think sometimes you get notifications that you're in Canada. And maybe this is another Hector question.
Hector Roman again. We work closely with our current mobility provider, AT&T. Canada, they have Rogers Wireless. They're constantly adjusting their antennas and their towers, and then AT&T is constantly adjusting theirs. But we are in communication with them when we do experience any signal loss within Wayne County. And we will definitely bring up coverage issues in downriver communities.
Thank you. I have Commissioner Colleen and then Commissioner Knizek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we don't have to go back to it, but on one of your timelines a little later this year, you're going to do payroll tests. And the comment that was made when you were doing that is to make sure we're paying our people correctly. What job classifications are involved here? Who's being evaluated in terms of being paid correctly?
Through the parallel payroll test, we'll look at a payroll in PeopleSoft for a particular pay date, and we'll run that same payroll in the new system. And we'll make sure that people, it's 100% of the population. And the figures that I was giving in the slides, usually in your first parallel payroll test, you're at about, you know, a 70 to 80% in terms of check for check matches. And then you get to as close to 100% as possible. So we're looking at the entire employee population. So everybody that is paid out of Wayne County and out of Wickers.
I got this, just so that we know everything's transferred and it all adds up. In this project, are you looking at any kind of, because we're bringing new people on to do this, correct? We're hiring some positions.
Through the chair. So this project, you know, there will be opportunities for new classifications and new positions of people internally to help maintain the program or the project or the Oracle Cloud, if you will. So as we go through that process and re-engineer not only our processes, our procedures, but also to, you know, what positions we will need moving forward, you know, that will help us kind of advance to where the county should be going.
No, I got you.
Yep.
I'm honing in on something a little more specific. As you look on, let's use a term here, onboarding new people for this project, how are you evaluating in terms of wages and benefits for those people?
So I'll have to defer to our PHR representatives on that, but we have Donna Wilson coming up.
Donna Wilson, PHR Director. What we do when we create any new classification, we look at internal equity and then we look at the market. So we kind of do develop a job description. What duties is the position going to be doing? We look internally to see if we have the similar classification and duties being performed, and then we look externally.
Are these represented positions that we're bringing on?
It could be a host of different positions. It just depends on the classification and what the position is going to be doing.
but represented folks would get the same wage and benefit package that current employees have.
So when we do a classification review and then we'll look at what positions are assigned to a particular bargaining unit, we talk with that bargaining unit for representation, and then they are included in the bargaining unit and under the same terms and conditions of employment.
I'm just speaking out of the concern. We have great concerns. We had a few issues in the county. Great concerns about our frontline employees and the wages they're receiving and the benefits they're receiving. So I want to know if there's anything happening here that would be out of step in terms of what we're currently doing, because I'd hate to see people with no represented position get a much better deal than for this project than people that have the represented positions. So are we looking at offering different wage and benefit packages for people that are not in represented positions for this project?
So nothing specific to this project. When any department wants to create a new classification or has something new that is in their business, we follow the same process and procedure. So nothing specific to this project.
There's going to be nothing unusual or out of the ordinary for either in or out of bargaining unit positions here in terms of what's being offered to bring people in.
Correct. Currently under Do It, we have people within the union and we have people outside the union. So I think that's some of the questions. In M&B, we have the same thing.
Just being careful here that we're not creating more where people are going to go, hey, what the heck, right? I'm living with lousy health insurance and haven't seen much of a raise in a number of years. And then if we have new folks coming in for this, we got to get this done. I'm willing to spend the project. It doesn't bother me that we've gone over, well, a little bit, but it doesn't bother me we've gone over budget. We got to get this done. This is core.
Totally agree.
We need a bookkeeping system that can't run on Windows 2.1. And so I'm very much in favor of moving. I appreciate the report today, but I don't want to create any additional disparities among workers in terms of wages and benefits. That's what I'm after. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Knizik.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I've got a couple questions if you don't mind. First, I'm looking at the expected costs, pardon me, actual versus the forecasted costs that we have there. How does that measure up against the budgeted dollars that you have for the project?
Through the chair, currently the, hold on, pulling the sheet up in front of me. Right, so we are trending within the budget right now. The total allocated budgeted amount is the 63.6 million, starting from fiscal year 18 up until the end of 25. So year for year, we're staying within or below our targeted spend.
And that 63, just not having the previous year's budgets in front of me, was that all appropriated in 18? Has been a work project since then, or is there going to be additional appropriations needs in the FY 24 and 25 budget to get to that 63 number?
At this time, the numbers that are forecasted would be what would be brought into the budget for fiscal year, 24, 25.
Let me try to rephrase it. Has the 63 million already been appropriated in FY 18 and now we're just work projecting it so that the money is already there? Or do you need additional money in FY 24 and FY 25 in order to get to that $63 million number?
So that the $63 million number, actually, I believe that was appropriated, or that initial total amount would have been in end of 21, beginning of 22 fiscal year. At 18, it was contemplated that we would have gone and finalized the project with Cherry Road, but bringing in Oracle, pausing and changing, we did incur additional costs in some areas, but it also lessens the risk of the project not actually completing.
So, I mean, absent anything
Mhm.
going off the rails or what have you, we should not expect to see asks in subsequent budget years for money to cover the project. It's already been covered.
Our forecasting, we've been tracking it on a monthly basis, and we are trending in the right direction.
Okay.
Or we are trending to our forecast, I should say.
I can continue, Madam Chair. Thanks. Looking at the Gantt chart of the project timeline and the HCM piece, it's pretty clear to me that it's an agile methodology that we're trying to use here. It's not clear to me, though, how many different sprints and modules we have it broken up into. Do you have that number off the top of your head? Or does somebody?
Any broken out modules through HCM for each component, or I guess I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, HCM is fine. Obviously, we're not at the ERP or EPM piece yet. So, looking at HCM, how many different sprints and modules are represented within the Gantt chart that takes us to go live?
I don't have that total number. Do you know? There's 3 builds.
For the chair. There are 3 builds, so there's 3 prototypes. The design was based off of what we call P1 or prototype 1, which was data from the previous implementation that was paused. And we did a deeper dive and detailed design in that P1. And then in P2, which is where we are now, we did a clean snapshot from PeopleSoft to Oracle Cloud, and we're validating our design. And we'll also be building integrations and doing a system integration test. And then in P3, prototype 3, we're going to do end-to-end testing, and then the parallel payroll tests. It's to go deeper into the parallel payroll tests. They're almost cycles in and of themselves, because in order to do them, you have to refresh data. So it's the parallel payroll piece is a little more unique.
Let me just quickly transition then. This is an agile or a waterfall project?
I would say that this is agile because, and we didn't get into the details, but there's really 2 phases within HCM, the recruit to retire. So everything to bring someone on board at Wayne County through their retirement. And then there's the middle piece, which is the development. So it's learning, performance, health and safety. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Health and safety, learning, performance.
That's okay. That's okay. So, okay. Agile training for staff, has that been onboarded or has that been completed? It's obviously all the rage in IT development right now, but I know a lot of staff struggle with that approach. So have we done anything to make sure that the staff is prepared and able to participate in a meaningful way?
Oracle brought their TCM Plus, so True Cloud Method, which is their agile approach. And we did go through a detailed training for the project team in the True Cloud Method. And I do have documentation that I can share on that if needed.
And Madam Chair, I do appreciate the latitude. Just some more questions, if you don't mind. Looking at the UAT testing, that month and a half there prior to go live for the HCM piece, how big of the team or how big a team is going to be participating in that testing, and from which parts of the county?
Through the chair. So in the user acceptance testing, we'll be leveraging our change ambassador network. We'll be leveraging the other various change management components, so directors, certain managers, even looking to recruit or have some volunteers to test mobile functions, employees that are interested in participating. But the intent is to leverage that change ambassador network to validate and the acceptance of the system and ensure readiness for go live.
And as a good transition, because my next question is, how are we defining go live? is it a 100% developed product, big bang approach across the county? Or, is there the potential for us to go live without a completed product, but then the need to do additional sprints or modules after the fact?
So I think with any of these efforts, there's always for certain, let's call it net new functions. Certainly the functions that PeopleSoft supports today, those will come over, that we won't lose any functionality that we have in PeopleSoft, but we're also maturing things like the recruiting platform, pulling in learning. But again, with this grade of change, you have to be very prescriptive about rolling out to the proper audiences at the proper time when it makes sense for some of those user groups.
And then the last question, kind of building on what Commissioner Colleen said, and I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but I remember the last time we got this presentation, there was the conversation about the need to onboard additional county staff. Everybody, of course, is swamped doing their actual day-to-day jobs, and then to add the build on top of it was a lot. I remember arguing in favor of the commission spending the money to onboard the additional staff. From the remarks that were made, though, it wasn't clear to me if we had already onboarded additional county staff to try and lessen the burden and the workload on our existing, the forthcoming piece that we were still going to get to.
Through the chair, we have been utilizing a staff aug contract, and so these are actually not employees of the county, but employees of Pierce Monroe, and they're project specific. I have talked with Mr. Monroe about bringing an amendment that there would be a path for us to hire these employees as county employees because they are temporarily, while this project is going on, doing the day-to-day operations while our SMEs are actually dedicated to testing the system.
Thanks for your patience, Madam Chair, and thanks for your answers.
Any last questions on the Connect 43 project? Seeing none, thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you for the update. All right, Madam Chair, returning to the agenda.
Item 2, communication from the Department of Management and Budget forwarding an ERP program status report.
Okay, this is a receive and file item. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, let's just go through the entire agenda and then we'll do a motion. Next item.
Item 3, forwarding report on the progress of hiring initiatives and retention policies in light of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Any questions on this item? Hearing none, next item.
Item 4, requesting commission approval of the appointment of Harry Kalogerakis, Chief Deputy Register of Deeds, to the position of Remonumentation Grant Administrator.
Is Mr. Kalogerakis with us today? Oh, Commissioner Colleen?
I understand he's on Zoom.
Oh, okay, he's on Zoom. Mr. Kalogerakis, and I'm sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly, but is there anything you'd like to say? No, he's not, maybe he had to leave. Okay. All right, next item, please.
Item 5, requesting commission approval of retroactive amendment 1 to a 3-year telephone repair contract with a 2-year option to renew with Competitive Telephone Systems, DBA CTS companies.
Commissioner Basham.
Get somebody to comment about why it's a retroactive contract, retroactive amendment.
Good afternoon. Through the chair, Tori Woods, Department of Information Technology Contract Manager. The CTS contract specifically was retroactive due to errors in the contract package during submission. It was originally submitted on February 22nd, which could have been potentially sufficient time to have it reviewed for approval. But unfortunately, there were errors that needed to be corrected, and we were
just able to get it back to you guys for review and approval.
All set, Commissioner Basham?
It's a typical contract and when people don't, sounds like from what I'm hearing, they didn't review it in time and that makes it retroactive and actually, I'm going to raise a question every time I see a sole source retroactive contract, so.
Thank you. Item.
Item 6, requesting commission approval of a 5-year professional services contract with a 2-year option to renew with Granicus LLC.
Okay, this is the website contract. Is there any questions on this item? Commissioner Basham?
And Madam Chair, retroactive modification number 5, 2-year legal services agreement. Why?
Oh,
Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
we're on the website. Granicus. Commissioner Knizik?
was wondering if anybody could speak to the 7 proposals and whether or not any of them were Michigan companies. Sorry, Hector.
Aaron's still here. Do you have any information on this?
Through the chair, I'll have to go back and pull the corporate addresses of everyone, and I can send it through following this.
So, I have some questions on this. What do you have a timeline on if this is approved, when we might expect the new website to go live?
Hector Roman, Director of Information Technology. I was told it would be about a year-long project from commission approval to the new website being stood up. If you don't mind, I'd like to talk about this project.
Yes, please.
I'm looking forward to it. Since I've been in my position, the most complaints I receive from employees and outside entities has been about our website. It's hard to navigate. It's difficult to find information. So we want to change that in a big way. We want to make the website more services oriented and allow the public to pay for services online as opposed to having to drive somewhere, pay for parking. So we have already started. We'll continue to meet with departments to assist them with changing the mindset of what services can the public pay for online as opposed to having to physically come into a building. We're also going to make the new website will be multilingual to address the county's diverse population. It'll be ADA compliant to help people who have, vision impairments, color blindness, to even being blind. They'll be able to navigate our website going forward.
So I understand that Granicus has done the website for City of Detroit as well.
Correct. Actually, Granicus is here if there's any
okay.
question for them, but I've been told that they have did the website for City of Detroit, I believe the state of Michigan, and several cities or states around the country.
Hello, Granicus team. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Patrick Moore and I'm the account manager.
My name's Savannah Lane. I'm the solutions consultant.
Hello. Did you want to, say a little bit about yourselves and what you're planning on doing for Wayne County?
Sure. First off, just a little history on Granicus. So Granicus is one of the largest, if not largest, software as a service company that focuses solely on government entities. In the United States, we have about 4,500 customers. Customers range, mentioning the state of Michigan, City of Detroit, they're utilizing our communications cloud platform, which is going to be part of this implementation. In terms of the website, Oakland County is rolling out our website that should be live this month. Also, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Columbus, Ohio just selected us and rolling our website out. San Antonio. So we have customers that are rolling out our websites across the country. It's newer technology and allows the residents to really find information rapidly. Also, it allows the county to push a lot of the transactions to residents that are used to doing resident transactions like Amazon and so forth, to allow them easier ability to pay or find information so they don't have to call or come in, which significantly reduces your overall cost internally as well. And timeframe is about 12 months from when we execute the contract to rolling it out. And what else would you like to?
That 12-month period is inclusive of 3 different phases, inclusive of a significant deal of change management, governance documents, and the software is designed to allow for iterative improvement over time. There's a significant deal of insight into both resident and staff use of the site, as well as the other digital transformation tools that are included in the package.
I have just one question before I get to you. Commissioner Knizek, did you have another question? What's the plan to get all of the content, the initial content for the website from every department? And then also how, once everything's up, how can we update things? And, I'm thinking especially for ourselves here at the commission, how easy is it for us to refresh our pages and put new things on there?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is a no-code solution. So it's designed through a kind of WYSIWYG interface. You use the graphical UI to, on the left-hand side of the screen, fill out a survey around the type of content you'd like to add onto the site. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, you have influence into the visual display of that information. We intentionally separate the content from the visual display so that Granicus can, in an ongoing way, maintain ADA compliance on the site. As far as the initial content migration, we proposed 300 pages initially. That is based on our research working with thousands of government agencies globally. We find that starting with that agile kind of touch point with the top trafficked pages as well as the primary pages for each of the departments gives us a good starting point. And then as part of the implementation process, we go through what we call the AIM process, where we look at all of the content on the site, determine what needs to be archived, improved, and migrated. And we go through that process with each department, making sure, because you are the experts in what your content is, that we get kind of weigh in across the entire site.
And so Hector, I think once the website is built and we as commissioners, our commission staff, once if we have things that we want to add, would we be working with the IT department directly, or would we be working with Granicus at that point to add things?
Greg Boss, Director of Enterprise Applications. We actually brought Granicus to the table with us because we want to empower departments, divisions, and the user base to manage their content independently of the IT teams on their own.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Knizek.
I thought I was beating up a Minnesota company without them here to defend themselves. So I'll blame Eddie Fakuri for that just because I love him and my own hubris. So headquartered in Minnesota, but has a presence here in Michigan. You both live in Michigan and all that, or no?
I live in Royal Oak, Michigan, and I've been with the company for 8 years.
Okay.
I have a lot of history with the company and actually sold the contract to the state of Michigan for the communications cloud. Also Oakland County as well as Detroit and a number of other state and local agencies around the state of Michigan. And a long-term employment with an outstanding company that's been growing and growing strategically and tools for our customers to.
That's helpful. And whoever was going to do the follow-up for me on that doesn't have to do it anymore. My last question though is, if everybody's telling us it takes a year to do it, why do we need a 5-year contract with 2-year option to renew?
The upfront cost, we have a one-time fee. It's outlined in the RFP response and the pricing. And then we have an annual software as a service fee. So the 5-year contract covers the first year it's covered the one-time setup fee with the software as a service fee. And then the additional 4 years is just straight software as a service fees.
And M&O General. Okay.
Hector Roman. So our website will be hosted by Granicus going forward. So currently our website is hosted on very old hardware infrastructure at our data center. And so the new website will be completely cloud-based. So there's no single points of failure. So that's the ongoing contracted years.
A great explanation. Thank you.
And to that point, if we ever decide not to continue on with Granicus, will that be a problem?
And no, it will
Things
not.
awkward, but.
No, it will not.
Okay. I just thought of one last question. Will we continue on with being a .com or will we switch over to a .gov? And if not, why would we stay with a .com?
The plan is to, we recently acquired a .gov, Wayne County MI.gov from the federal government. And so the new website will be based on the Wayne County MI.gov domain. And eventually our email addresses will change from waynecounty.com to Wayne County MI.gov.
Okay, does that increase security? Or I don't understand any of
It doesn't, but it's just the .gov to me, it makes communications look more official because it's coming from a .gov as opposed to a .com. But yes, that's in the plan of the new website will be on a .gov domain and our emails will follow, if not come right before that.
Any last questions on Granicus? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Madam Chair.
Okay, Madam Chair, we're going to move to item number 16.
Moving to item 16 on the addenda. Requesting commission approval of retroactive amendment 2 to a comparable source contract, formerly a 5-year cooperative purchase agreement with AT&T Corp.
Okay, any questions on this item, on the addenda, item number 16? Hearing none. Next item, Madam Chair.
Moving back to the agenda, item 7. Requesting commission approval of a memorandum of agreement that serves as modification 6 to a collective bargaining agreement with American Federation of State, County and Municipal Employees Council 25, Locals 25, 409, and 1659, AFL-CIO.
Any questions on item number 7? Okay, Commissioner Colleen.
Does this cover all of the bargaining units that people that are there any bargaining units out there that have people that came in during COVID but are not included in this?
Matthew Carmona, Interim Director of Labor Relations. No, I believe this is the final pandemic pay memo for bargaining units at Wayne County. This wraps it up.
Covers all the bargaining units where people came in.
This doesn't specifically cover all of them, but there have been many prior similar agreements on this topic, and this would be the last. And with the completion of this, all the bargaining units in the county will have been.
That's all right. I was going to go to that specific question next. What were the promises that were made to employees that came in during COVID?
Promises that
were people promised to get pay for coming in during COVID?
I don't know one way or another if they were promised anything in terms of people who.
So then how did we settle on 2,000 and 1,250 as the proper numbers?
Well, those were the numbers and of course of between directives and bargaining that were agreed to.
What?
That were agreed to by the parties.
Okay, so that was across the table.
Yes, that was a proposal given and that was what was ultimately agreed.
Back and forth, and everybody that came in during those times with the completion of this item today have all been compensated then for coming in during COVID.
I'm not 100% sure what you mean by coming in. The best I can say is that this MOA covers the time period that is specifically referenced in there.
Well, see, the language here, all eligible employees being required to work in person or interacting with, that's where my question comes from. Maybe it wasn't 100% of everybody coming to their desk. I don't know if they did it another way, but people that work these hours during COVID.
Yes.
Everybody's covered now when we complete this item today.
Yes. So, and
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have one question. If an employee who was working under this, under the language specified in this agreement, and they're no longer employed with the county since then, will they still get this payment?
no, they will not. The terms of the MOA require that the person be employed at the time of payment.
No, like if they're not employed with us today, but they were employed at the time during the pandemic, will
They
they
would-
still get that payment?
No, they will not, because the terms of the MOA specifically say that to be eligible, you must be employed
They
by the
must be
county
employed
at the
with
time
us
of.
as the time of the agreement. Why did it take so long for this agreement to, I mean, this is a few years.
That's a fair question. And I will say, I think there's probably several reasons. I don't think there's any one single reason. There were, if you recall, over the past year, there have been many CBA either extensions or new CBAs brought to this commission with the typically increasing wages. So I think part of the reason there was that resources with LR were shifted to those particular projects. I think that's part of the reason. I know we readdressed in earnest this particular group probably, I think, last fall. And, you know, some of it is the back and forth, you know, but I certainly appreciate the fact that I can say I personally wish that this had been able to be accomplished sooner. Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, next item. Not Madam Chair, Madam Clerk.
Moving to item 9, requesting commission approval of retroactive amendment 1 to a comparable source professional services contract with a 1-year option to renew with Mario Muro and Associates.
Any questions on this item? On next item.
Item 10, requesting commission approval of retroactive modification 5 to a 2-year legal services agreement with a 1-year option to renew with Zosmer PC.
On item 10, Commissioner Basham.
Retroactive.
Good afternoon, Sue Hamoud, Deputy Corporation Counsel. This is another retroactive contract because Jim over here wasn't paying attention. No, I'm just joking. It is Corporation Counsel's fault. I've addressed this issue with the staffing issue that we had in our office on several occasions, and I'm happy to report that I think this one and another one that might be on the agenda today, and then we've cleaned those up. But it's our fault, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
Hate to admit it, but being she's honest, I'll have to support her, but thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Colleen.
Madam Chair, without going too deep into it, can you just briefly state the facts of the case here with the Rouge Valley system? What's in?
I will defer to my colleague over here.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Jim Jernigan, Assistant Corporation Counsel. So these are continuing negotiations with Great Lakes Water Authority pursuant to what are known as Tier 1 contracts with GLEWA. Wayne County is considered a Tier 1 customer of GLEWA, as are many of the other systems. And then our system, Rouge Valley Sewage Disposal System, then has 13 distinct customers who are customers of the Rouge Valley system, consisting of different communities and sections of other communities. So this is these are continuing negotiations with GLEWA to work out the terms of the terms of engagement moving forward.
So this is a negotiation. It's not, we're not before a judge or anything here.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
certainly
yeah.
not. No.
And how many of our other systems are involved similarly? Because I know we've been, a few of our systems are no longer part of the county.
Right.
How many more of these sewage disposal systems are also involved, that the county has, that are also involved in GLUA? I can get an idea what term tier 1 means, but
Without having the benefit of
That's okay, I know.
somebody
You're
from
working on
ESG,
this.
I don't think any. I think this is
The only one.
Yes, I believe so.
Thank you. Thank you,
very
Madam
welcome.
Chair.
Any other questions on item 10? Madam Clerk, let's move on.
Item 11, requesting commission approval of Amendment 2 to a 2-year legal services agreement with Plunkett Cooney PC.
Questions on item 11? Next item.
Item 12, requesting commission approval of Amendment 2 to a 2-year legal services contract with Plunkett Cooney PC.
12. Okay, next item.
Item 13, requesting commission approval of retroactive Amendment 1 to a 2-year legal services agreement with Plunkett Cooney PC.
Questions on 13? Commissioner Basham.
Same question, retroactive.
Same answer. Thank you.
All right, next item.
Item 14, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to a 2-year legal services agreement with Dickinson Wright PLLC.
14. Item, I think that's which is our last. Oh, let's take a motion on items 2 through 7, 9 through 14, and 16. Need a motion?
Got it.
Been moved by Commissioner Colleen. Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Basham. Any last questions, Commissioner Basham?
I'll be a no on 9.
Commissioner Basham is a no on number 9. All right. Once we've got, oh, here we go. Please vote.
Motion carried.
You got Commissioner Basham on it, no on 9.
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, let's move back to the agenda. Item number 15.
Item 15, requesting commission approval of a master settlement agreement and a Michigan State subdivision agreement in the matter of County of Wayne versus Purdue Pharma LP. Corporation Counsel has reviewed the litigation and is of the opinion that a discussion of trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation in an open meeting will have a detrimental financial effect on the county's litigation or settlement position. Therefore, a closed client counsel session is requested.
Madam
Need a
Chair,
motion?
move in
Oh,
to go
it's-
into closed session.
Been moved by Commissioner Clerk Coleman and seconded by Commissioner Basham. Sorry, Commissioner Colleen. Too slow.
Oh.
All
Never.
those in favor, oh, we have to do a vote on our tablets.
We need a
No,
roll call vote.
Roll call vote. All those.
Commissioner
Madam-
Knizik,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Commissioner Clark
Madam
Coleman,
Clerk.
Commissioner Basham, Commissioner Colleen,
Yep.
Chair Dobb.
Yes. All right, we're moving into closed session. If you don't need to be here for this item, please leave. All right, we are back out of closed session. Madam Chair. I'm just going to make you chair. Madam Clerk, I'm back. Madam Clerk.
Item 15, requesting commission approval of a master settlement agreement and a Michigan State subdivision agreement in the matter of Wayne, County of Wayne et al. Versus Purdue Pharma LP et al.
We have a motion from Commissioner Clark Coleman and support by Commissioner Kniezek. Any last questions on this item? Hearing none. Let's vote.
Commissioner Basham. Motion carried.
Next item.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
On next item.
Public comments.
Anyone wish to address the Committee on Government Operations? Is there anyone on the phone or on Zoom? Any public comments? Last call for public comments. Okay, next item.
Adjournment.
Motion to adjourn. It's been moved without objection. We are now adjourned. Thank you all.